Grade 6 Literature Reader Book, Chapter number 9 The Fall of Icarus. On the island of Crete, during the age of King Minos, there lived a man named Daedalus and his young son Icarus. Daedalus was just an ordinary man, except for one special talent. He was an inventor of strange and wonderful mechanical creations. A tiny mechanical bird that chirped when the sun rose, given by Daedalus to the newborn princess to celebrate her birth, became the talk of everyone in the land. King Minos approached Daedalus to ask if he might be able to invent something less pretty but more useful. A few months later, Daedalus presented the plans for a giant labyrinth to hold the Minotaur prisoner. King Minos was pleased. If Daedalus works only for me, it will be so much better. He asked his royal guards to take Daedalus and his young son Icarus and lock them away in a cave high above the sea. The only entrances to the cave were through the labyrinth guarded by the king's soldiers, not to mention the Minotaur, and an entrance overlooking the sea high up on the side of a cliff. Daedalus didn't mind his imprisonment at first. Whatever Daedalus needed, King Minos provided without question: food, drink, tools of all shapes, rare metals, leather, parchment, and even candles, so he could work late into the night. Daedalus lived happily for many years, working away on an endless variety of wondrous inventions. And young Icarus, although sometimes bored, was quite happy helping out his father and playing with the mechanical toys Daedalus made for him. It wasn't until Icarus's 16th birthday, when tired of being locked up, he broke into a rage. "Father, I want an adventure. I want to meet a girl and have a son of my own. I can't find a wife to come live with me in this lonely cave over the sea. I hate this cave. I hate the king. And I hate you." Of course, Icarus apologized later for saying such mean things to his father, but insisted that he couldn't stand being cooped up in the cave any longer. The next time King Minos visited, Daedalus approached him nervously. "Your Majesty, surely you must see that Icarus is becoming a young man. You can't plan to keep him locked away for his entire life. Please, sire, let him join your royal guard and seek a life in your service." The king raised an eyebrow and stared thoughtfully out of the opening of the cave. "I shall consider your request. Now, if you please, show me again your idea for giant mechanical men." The king didn't really have to think too long about it. He knew right away that he didn't want to let either Daedalus or Icarus go. Who could know whether Icarus would have his father's talents? After all, Icarus had watched and learned from his father for his entire life. Under no circumstances did he want another kingdom to get their hands on the mechanical wonders Daedalus created and that Icarus might someday produce. Weeks later, King Minos returned to Daedalus with his answer. "Icarus provides the greatest service to our realm by keeping your company here." "But sire," began Daedalus. "Enough!" roared King Minos. "The decision has been made." Daedalus turned to Icarus to explain that there was nothing to be done, but when he saw the look of utter despair on his son's face, Daedalus's heart broke and he vowed that he would do everything in his power to make his boy happy again. But what could be done? Daedalus stood staring out the entrance of the cave overlooking the sea, watching the waves crash on the rocks below and the seagulls circle over the cliffs. It was spring, and the nests on the cliffs were filled with eggs and chicks. Icarus walked up beside his father and said softly, "How I envy those baby birds, for soon their wings will be strong and they'll be able to fly away from this wretched cliff." Daedalus blinked, a smile slowly growing on his face. He turned to Icarus, his eyes twinkling. "Well then, my little fledgling, we would best start working on strengthening your wings so you can be off with the others." First, Daedalus used strips of leather and fine twigs to fashion a broom, and a large net which he had Icarus dangle down towards the cliffs to sweep up the feathers near the seagull nests. For many days, Icarus carefully gathered every feather he could reach. While Icarus was busy with feathers, Daedalus created thin tube of light metal which he used to form the frame of two pairs of man-sized wings. He used leather strips to create a harness and pulleys to allow the wearer to flap and tilt the wings in various directions. Then he took the feathers that Icarus had collected and used candle wax to begin to attach the feathers to the light metal frames. "Two frames?" Icarus smiled happily at his father. "Are you coming too?" Daedalus clasped his son on the shoulder and replied, "I am, my son. Thank you for reminding me that of all my creations, you are the most important to me. I am sorry that it's taken me so long to free us both." It was painstaking work collecting the feathers and attaching them, one by one, to the frames, but a few weeks later, as the first fledgling seagulls began to leave their nests, Daedalus declared the wings complete.